Good morning. Welcome to your Sunday morning, early morning intuitive guidance. I'm Dr. Bonnie Nussbaum and waiting for my practical rebels to jump on here today. We have a nice card for today and I think you'll enjoy it. Excuse the throat, it's a little scratchy. Our air quality is back to horrendous. We had a couple of days reprieve, which was very nice, able to be out and about, and now we're back to terrible air quality. Good morning, Abigail. Glad you are here. You're the first one on today. So I'm a little froggy. I was out this morning watering the plants and such, since rain seems to be not forthcoming. So I'm just enjoying the morning, but I could smell that smell hanging in the haze. Good morning, Cindy. Welcome. So I think we're supposed to have another couple of days of terrible air quality. So good morning, Carolyn. Welcome. Glad you are here. All the regulars popping on, getting ready for our daily dose of motivation, enthusiasm, etc. Pondering. Good morning, Gwen. Hello, hello. And I'm hoping that's what this is for you, that it is supportive of you and it gives you things to think about for the day. Thank you for the hearts and the rainbow. Welcome, welcome. Yes, smoky air. It is not fun. Good morning, Peggy. I can't imagine being much closer to these forest fires and trying to function. You'd spend the whole time in the house and changing your air filters all the time and etc. So I'm grateful I'm at the distance I'm at, but it sure is smelly. Good morning, Rayford. Glad you are here. Welcome, welcome. So this card fits in with some of the thematic things we have had going on the last couple of weeks. We have a Nature Portals card from Bruce and Carol Malner, Inspiration Through the Peace and Beauty of Nature. And actually I took some time in nature yesterday. I went over to the neighborhood where the intentional community is likely going to be built, and I just walked like the perimeter of maybe 8-10 blocks. Good morning, Mel. Glad you are here. Just to get a feel for the neighborhood, to have a conversation with the neighborhood. And then I went and sat on a picnic bench behind the church, and I had a conversation with the church, and I had a conversation with the school building. And there's two school buildings. The one they call the new building, which was built in the 60s, and the one that's over 100 years old. And it was interesting to listen to the buildings and what they had to say. And I think that's going to color our vision for what we're going to be creating here. So Nature Portals deck. Let's take a couple of nice deep breaths. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Letting your shoulders drop. In through the nose, out through the mouth. It was good to take a day of rest and contemplation yesterday. I really enjoyed just being and the things that I didn't do. It was very nice. And I feel like I'm in a better spot in terms of, okay, what am I being called to now? But I think in preparation for that, we get today's card. Know when it's time to let go. Know when it's time to let go. And you can see that one little ready to fly. Yep. So listen with the intuitive part of yourself, the hearing ear that captures the wisdom that's here for you. Let's see what you think. Know when it's time to let go. Nature reminds us that life continues through the process of letting go. Seeds blow away to be planted somewhere new. Leaves fall from the tree to enrich the soil. Birds leave the nest to make their own way in the world. I love that idea. And I love at the end, in fall when all the acorns are falling. Good morning, Diane. Looking forward to breakfast this morning. Yes, know when it's time to let go. Because I look at all those acorns and I think to myself, I wonder how many of these are going to actually turn into oak trees. And when I lived at the motel, I loved scooping up handsful of them because they'd be all over the path and just throwing them into the woods, because I figured they had a much better shot of becoming oak trees if I pitched them into the woods than if they stayed where they were. I also took some handfuls of those and planted them in the garden at the hill crest. Sorry guys, I'm sure you're finding little oak trees coming up all over the place. But just to give those seeds a little extra opportunity, especially with trees. Especially with trees. We need trees. We need more trees. You want to make yourself feel good, go plant a tree. Go plant a tree. I sometimes like taking the little volunteers that land in the garden and then moving them and planting them somewhere else. Can't plant them here. My dad likes to mow stuff off. But other places, I'm in a way, I'm kind of like my son. He goes about surreptitiously planting trees at parks. So he figures easier to apologize later than get permission ahead, but he thinks reforestation is important. So there you go. So we have 2 questions in this card, and if one of you would be so kind as to post them, that would be awesome. The first one is there something in your life that you would like to let go of? Is there something in your life that you would like to let go of? And I'm going to pull on some of my information from having taught the clutter clearing class, which when I get off my butt and go back through the book, we'll be ready to put out there for people to purchase. I just got to get that breath of wind that gets me ready. Thank you, Cindy. I appreciate it. Is there something in your life you'd like to let go of? Pulling on the stuff from the clutter clearing class. What keeps you hanging on to it? I'm going to predict that it's something along the lines of habit. I haven't really thought about it. Obligation. So-and-so gave it to me, or we got it for our wedding, or I've had it since I was a kid. Blah, 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 blah. That's how people end up with 5 sets of good dishes. 5 sets of good dishes, and they never use good dishes. Or if they do, it's like Easter, Thanksgiving, Christmas. That's it. 3 times a year for 5 sets of good dishes. You don't even have enough holidays there to use each set once. But people get caught in obligation. Well, it was my paternal grandmothers, my maternal grandmothers, my mothers, my aunts, and you know, whatever. Pick the one you like the best. Pick the one you like to use the most. Bless the rest of them on their way. I'm finding, because my mother was a collector, and we have an area that has 8 card tables. They're 2 beside each other and 4 deep, and lining underneath that whole area are boxes of dishes. Real pretty, but again, how often are we going to use them? But I'm finding there are some younger people coming in now who are buying sets of dishes. They're liking the old stuff, which is cool. It feels good to know that it's going to be reused and loved and then blessed on its way to some other poor kid who's going to go, what am I going to do with these? So, is there something in your life you would like to let go of? I'm going to stick in my own question there of what keeps you hanging on to it? What keeps you hanging on to it? It can also be well, I might need it someday. And I actually rewatched my psychic reading with Victoria Laurie from a year and a half ago. That was my last one, a year and a half ago. Thank you, Cindy. And there was a point where she got quiet and she looked at me and she goes, "You have got to clear some clutter." And she had given me, there was a 6-month timeline, which ended up being just about right. That was November of whatever year that was. And that I had 6 months before I had sold the motel and moved here. That wasn't in the works totally yet at that point. There was not a deal really on the table. But she predicted 6 months, which would have put me at May, and I actually ended up moving in April. So she was pretty darn close. But she said, "Girlfriend, you've got to clear out a bunch of this stuff." So I watched it again because I wanted to see in a year and a half what all has transpired, and she was very spot on with a whole lot of stuff. And what I could glean from it again to move forward. All right? So, here's our second question. Yes, worth repeating. I saw that both of you posted it. Thank you very much. Here's the second one. Their second one. What new possibilities might be awaiting you if you do? What new possibilities might be awaiting you if you do? Again, if you have this something in your life that you're hanging on to that you can't quite let go of. It's taking up space. Physical space, energetic space, psychic space, spiritual space. It's taking up space. In doing so, whatever's meant to pull into that parking spot can't. Thank you, Cindy. So there's this gap we need to learn to appreciate. And the gap is, I've released the old and the new hasn't come in yet. You're sitting in the gap. You're minding the gap, as they would say in London. Mind the gap. That's actually the space between the subway and the platform, and they don't want you falling through. But here's another opportunity to mind the gap. Let go of whatever it is. Experience that gap space. For many of us, it's uncomfortable. We want to have the new thing neatly tucked under our arm before we release the old thing. Some people do that with relationships. Not okay. Not okay. Let go of the one, then bring in the other. That's a much healthier, kinder, karmically positive way of going about it. All right? What new possibilities might be awaiting you if you do? All right? So, what do you do to tolerate the gap? What do you do to not only tolerate it, but maybe even enjoy the gap? Yes, we want security, the illusion of security. Because really, is anything all that secure? Well, we think, well, this institution has lasted however long, and then it files for bankruptcy. Or this particular way of doing things has been around forever, but it outlives its usefulness. It becomes obsolete, So we used to crank a phone. Do we need to crank a phone anymore? No. So always hanging on to something because that's how it's always been isn't the best plan. Some things, yes, there are traditions we want to keep going. They work for us, they're good for us, whatever. But there's a whole lot of stuff that has outlived its usefulness. And it would be good for us to take a look at that. The quote here is anonymous, which is unfortunate because it's a beautiful quote. Really would be good to give this person credit. Letting go isn't the end of the world. It's the beginning of a new life. Letting go isn't the end of the world. It's the beginning of a new life. And, that's kind of that quote about the caterpillar. What the caterpillar saw as death, the butterfly saw as life, kind of a deal. So we do need to, and that was in several of the recent cards, die to the old and be reborn in the new. Whatever that's going to be. For some of us, it's career. What we've done forever, we may not be doing anymore. We may be doing something different. Yes, letting go isn't the end of the world. It's the beginning of a new life. Good morning, Beth. Glad you are here. Welcome, welcome. We are just about done, but I think the replay is well worth the time. So there it is. Very pretty card. Giving us that intention that as we let go of what no longer works, what we've been hanging on to out of obligation, what we've been clutching, yes, I can say the quote again, what we've been clutching so tightly that does not serve us, as we pry our fingers off of it and release it, we create the space for what's meant to come in. That is far more likely to be satisfying, work better for us, create more of the results we're looking for, help us be happier. So the quote is, letting go isn't the end of the world, it's the beginning of a new life. Letting go isn't the end of the world, it's the beginning of a new life. And that's by Anonymous. So Anonymous, whoever you are, great quote. So I hope you all have an awesome Sunday. Because Sunday was meant to be a day of contemplation, maybe take some time and think about this. What am I ready to release in my life? I know I've got a bunch of stuff that's ready to go. Furniture, books. Oh, that's a hard one for me. I know, Cindy, that's a hard one for you. So have an awesome day. See you again tomorrow. Remember, you're capable of far more than you think you are. Bye-bye.